There's fun in learning around the bend. You could even do it with your best friend. If there's science stuff that you like to know, come watch Allie and CoCo Science Show.
Hello, what is up everybody? Welcome back to Allie and CoCo Science Show. We have a scared dog, a little scared, just a little scared pup. It's raining right now. So the month just kind of flew by and I really wanted to make some more videos. However, I've run out of time. I'm quickly going to talk about recycling. This may turn into a 2 or 3 part video series in the future. But today I want to talk about our most common recyclable items and our most common misconceptions or myths about recycling. Ooh, so let's get on with it. So let's start off by talking about what usually takes place when we recycle our 4 biggest recyclable items: paper, plastic, glass, and metal. Paper is made from cellulose pulp from plants. Now for our sake, we're just going to go with the conventional tree, but it can also be made with grasses, which is historically what it was made out of, and things like hemp. There are actually movements out there to make paper from hemp because it's fast growing, doesn't require a lot of water resources and land area to make the same amount. It's just so weird how long we've been stuck on trees for. You're right. So for some reason, let's say you threw paper in the trash. That paper in the landfill takes about 2 to 6 weeks to decompose, which doesn't seem like a long time. However, while it decomposes in the landfill, it produces many greenhouse gases, the main one being methane, which is like way worse than carbon dioxide. Paper also makes the largest amount by volume in our landfills here in the US, which is wild. It's so much missed potential to be able to recycle and get that paper back in our system. If you were to cycle it, what happens? Well, they add water, they turn it into a mushy pulp, and then they kind of press it and dry it out. It's basically kind of like how they make paper in the beginning, except instead of using a virgin tree material, you're reusing the papers. Even though it's a lot alike, it uses way less energy and resources. If you recycle a ton, 2,000 pounds of paper, you're saving 17 trees, 380 gallons of oil, 4,000 kilowatt hours of energy, 7,000 gallons of water, and you produce 60 pounds less of air pollution. So that's just for a ton of paper. We use 85 million tons of paper a year. Guys, okay, so plastic. She's so sweet. You guys know I hate plastic. Not a fan of the single-use plastic. However, we use plastic often in technology, in transportation. It's incredibly lightweight, very durable for the most part, and can last between 400 and 1,000 years in a landfill. Give it up for plastic. I'm just kidding. It's made of polymers, petroleum. None of these things are great for the planet. However, sometimes it is made of plants for those like biodegradable, compostable plastics. If they're in a landfill, plastic items from containers to bags are going to break down into microplastics, which are also bad for the planet. And again, they're also, just like paper, going to produce different greenhouse gases. Not really, Colette. When you send it to a recycling bin, they get sorted by the type of plastic, so plastics 1 through 7 usually. They get washed, shredded, and then melted. It does take some energy, but it uses 1/3 of the energy as it would be to create plastic from new materials. So you are saving energy when you recycle. Unfortunately, plastic can only be recycled about 3 times before it's kind of degraded to the point where it can't be recycled or reused. Also, biodegradable plastics are a great alternative as they take about 3 to 6 months to decompose, but they can't be recycled and they break down into microplastics. Compostable plastics made of plant materials cannot be recycled for sure. You either have to take them to a fancy compost facility that can work with them, or you have to throw it in the landfill. Not the best alternative as they still exist, decompose, and have to be created, but it's better than like regular plastics. But please, if you get a compostable plastic, don't throw it in the recycling. Check your local area to see if it can be composted, or just throw it in the landfill, I guess. Glass is crazy, guys. It takes over 1 million years for glass to decompose. Basically, they say it doesn't decompose on its own. You're right, Colette. It's basically the Audrey Hepburn of the recyclables. In fact, some Egyptian pyramids had glass containers in them, so we've had them for a few thousand years. The benefit to this sturdiness is they can be reused and recycled forever. So when they recycle it, they crush it down, add heat, melt it, and then they let it solidify into glass again, which is awesome. They can do that over and over and over and over again. However, it is an energy costly process. So a lot of facilities, if they can't really afford to do that, what they'll do is they crush it up and use it for something else, such as sand or like astroturf. Using recycled glass saves about 10% of the energy as you'd need to make new glass from virgin materials. So it is better to recycle it or reuse it, which is what I do. I collect glass jars to use for my bulk instead of buying it new, which is nice. Glass is long lasting, but it can break. We stand glass in this household. And metal, thank you so much, Coco. Guys, we also stand metal in this house as well. Metal is amazing. So like glass, it's long lasting and can be recycled forever. And like plastic, it's very durable and usually lightweight, depending on the type of metal. And also depending on the type of metal, they can take 50 to 500 years to decompose. The downside is virgin metal is mined from the earth, which can be pretty detrimental to an ecosystem. To recycle, they crush, compact, melt, purify, this is me scraping off gross bits, and then let it solidify. It's actually 96% effective, so they're only losing a little bit of metal each time. And remember, it can be recycled forever, so you can do that over and over and over and over again and never have to mine another piece of metal from this earth again. To be honest, metal is my favorite of the four. It'd be like #1 in Allie's top recyclable items if there were a list. Because it's durable, it won't break, and recycling is pretty efficient. In fact, recycling saves about 56% of the energy that it takes to make a new metal. I love metal minus C, destroying the ecosystem to mine it. Part of it, kind of a big part of it though. I asked you guys on my social media, what are some misconceptions with recycling that you want to learn about? And I'm touching on most of them, but there's some that I think require a video on their own. So let's just get to it. Myth #1, if you don't clean your recyclables, it'll contaminate the whole truck and all of it will be thrown out. Now this is actually kind of true. If there's a small fleck of something or like a leaf falls into the truck, like that's not something that we're worrying about. We're talking about like if you walk by a recycling bin when you're out and about in the world and you look down and you see the entire recycling bin is full of like half drinking frappuccinos from Starbucks that nobody's cleaned out. And you're just like, why? Cleaning out your recyclables is very important. You don't want to damage the equipment, first off, and it also creates more work for somebody else. So if you aren't bringing a reusable container to Starbucks for your frappuccinos, make sure you guys are carrying that cup with you for the entire day until you do find a sink that you can rinse it out and recycle. But please just remember your reusable containers. It's way more important than cleaning out a recyclable is bring reusable containers. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. But yeah, if I forgot my reusable container, I had to get a cup or something, I would carry it with me the entire day. Like put it in your backpack, hold on to it. Like I will walk with that trash for like 10 miles. And apparently the US is a little more lenient on contamination than places like China, where we used to send a lot of our recyclables. I'll get back to that in a little bit. But yeah, China has very strict rules for their contamination of recyclables. So basically, if you had food waste in your container, it was getting thrown in a landfill. Bring reusable containers or clean out your recyclables so that there's more of a chance they'll make it to the recycling facility and it's less work for someone else. Pizza? Well, what about... Okay, that is actually a great one, Colette. There are many misconceptions about pizza boxes and how to recycle them. You can recycle your pizza boxes. A little bit of grease is not going to hurt the machines at all. However, definitely clean out your food waste. I'm talking globs of cheese. I'm talking pepperoni. I'm talking mushrooms. That weird stray olive that's always in the box. So yeah, just make sure you clean out the food, but the grease is okay. So that's awesome. Great. Now you guys can eat pizza. Okay, myth number 2. Your recyclables aren't getting recycled anyway. This is kind of a maybe. It depends on many factors. So that might be the contamination of the truck. Also the facilities you're sending them to and where you live. So there's this whole thing where there's no waste. So no matter what you use, you throw it in a bin, it's going somewhere. It's important to know where that somewhere is. In a lot of big cities, our recycling is sent to a developing country, and the people in the developing country process it for us. In fact, there's a recent news story where China decided not to accept any more foreign trash. They just stopped accepting recyclables, and this article was written in Seattle, so they just sent all the recyclables back to Seattle where they sat in a warehouse, didn't know what to do with it. I think what they did is they sent it to the landfill, but many other places will burn it for fuel, such as in Thailand, where the burning of plastics is adding carcinogens to that area. Sometimes when you throw something in the recycling, it doesn't get recycled. That's why it's really important to do your research on your area, clean your recyclables, and just use less. Usually for smaller places like where I've lived, they're able to process the whole town or city's recyclables no problem. So I've been blessed. Myth number 3, if they're going to a landfill anyway, what's the point? This one kind of made me sad, guys. Quit with the what's the points and quit with the it doesn't matter because I'm gonna die soon anyway. I'll just leave it for future generations to deal with. That's really just childish. Just stop. It does matter. There are a lot of factors that come into play on whether that recyclable is making it to a recycling plant. There's always a possibility everything will go fine and everything will make it to the recycling plant. Just look at the statistics of the energy saved, the material saved, the ecosystem saved when we recycle. Always try and reduce your use, but then move on to reusing that item or recycling. But yes, it does matter. Yes, please try and recycle if you have to use something. Like if I see a plastic bottle that you just chunk in a trash can, myth number 4, a non-recyclable item will ruin the entire truckload. False, thank goodness, because people recycle wrong all the time. When the truck arrives at the facility, it gets sorted through first. So it's actually, if you ever get a chance to tour a recycling facility in your area, and like I highly recommend looking into it, definitely do so. It's very eye-opening, and you realize people mess up all the time, and they definitely fix our problems and do such an amazing job. In fact, once I was touring a recycling facility, and there was a stroller someone threw in the recycling, and so basically the truck comes in, they have a conveyor belt that they kind of take off whatever's definitely not recyclable, and then there are different steps throughout the facility that recycles and sorts everything. If there's a giant stroller in the same truck as your recyclables, it's gonna be okay. Just don't throw strollers though, like God. Extra work and you can break the machine. Myth number 5, it's better to err on the side of caution and just throw everything in the recycling. To some degree, don't do this. I've seen some bad recycling faux pas in my day. So use a little common sense. And I know like I think and breathe this kind of thing, so maybe it's common sense to me, but like, don't throw banana peel in the recycling. That's what I mean by common sense. Even if the bowl's recyclable, a bowl with a bunch of soup in it is not recyclable. Food waste doesn't go in the recycling. Plastic bags and the little film and wrapping on some food items are also a no-go. And clothing, that's another big one I've seen, is people will throw clothes in the recycling. There might be clothing places you can recycle it at, but not what we're looking for. And also anything mixed. This is another big pet peeve of mine, is anything mixed, such as a computer keyboard that has metal parts and plastic parts. It's not recyclable in your regular recyclable area, and strollers, right? So there are places that might be able to recycle those items, just not in your regular bin. Now, most cities or counties will have a guide on their website. So make sure you look online and you find that resource. In fact, that'll be the action of the day. Guys, for today's action of the day, I want you to look up your area's recycling requirements and share it with your friends in the area or your community. So very important. They'll have a guide of things you can recycle, resources for other items that can be recycled but need special treatment, such as like a spray paint can. They'll also put what things should just go in the landfill. Don't just err on the side of caution, do some research, just do a little bit of research and share with others. And if you guys want to, hey, you could share this video because I think there's a lot of great information for people to know about. Also, just continue to do better with recycling, but make sure you're also reducing your use. So reducing is always best. There's less energy used, there's less materials, and it's just better for the planet. So don't forget to hit that like button if you learned something awesome about recycling, or if you like scared puppies. Oh my god. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you want to follow us for more adventures, and ring that notification bell so that you can be notified when we put a new video out. And we will see you guys in February. Bye!